Good morning. My name is Michael Minott. I'm one of the elders at North Shore Baptist Church, and it's a joy to share with you a little bit about family devotions in the Minott home over the years. Officially, I am an empty nester, in that my three children are now grown and out of the home at ages of 23, 20, and 18. Although due to the coronavirus, Kira, the youngest, has now returned, back to New York. So she's at home with us for the most part. But in terms of talking about family devotions in the Minot home, it really varies depending upon the stage at which our family was going through. In that, first, having my children with me every day, we were able to do devotions on a fairly regular basis. And then later on, things shifted and changed when they were only with me on weekends. And so that presented a particular challenge. And so, how do you cram homework and church activities and living life and doing and having fun and making the family home, a place of joy, fitting all those things in, as well as family devotion. So that was always a challenge when you only had your children with you from Friday evening through Monday morning. How I would, work around that is we would basically have family devotions at mealtime. It would involve opening up the Word in prayer first, opening up the Word, reading, and then taking time to discuss or summarize, what was there. Depending upon the age of the children and their engagement in the Word at that particular moment, there might be, a lot of questions that would come while the Word is being read, and so sometimes you say, okay, we could just hold the questions to the very end, and then we'll get back to it. But that would basically be the structure. Whether we would work through a particular book of the Bible that I would choose. On occasions, I would say, hey, where you guys want to read? Okay, Kira, Old Testament, New Testament. Okay, what particular book of the Bible you want to read? And Kira would Kira or someone else would pick a particular book of the Bible that interested them, and so we would take time to look at that. And like I said, so things shifted and changed from daily and more regular devotions to really fitting things in on the weekends. One thing that I always try to do in following what it says in Deuteronomy about being immersed in the Word of God in your home, but also on the road. I would say, have the Word, have this law on your heart, in your homes, put them on the door fronts of your houses, and so on. But also as you rise up and as you lay down and as you're in your home and outside. And so we would often have very fruitful times in transit, in the car, take advantage of that. And so we would have, time where either the Bible was on audio or one of the children, would read, and then we would have times of discussion. And what I would use that for more often than not was to engage them in spiritual conversation. Speaking about something going on in their lives. Maybe there's something that they would hear on the news or some event going on in the family, or just speaking about the realities of being children, the products of divorce, living in one home that was not Christian, living in another home that was Christian, and all of those conflicts and mix of emotions. And so I would take that opportunity as often as possible to engage in spiritual conversation. So I was blessed with having, for the most part, a 45-minute to an hour drive to get the children to school on Monday mornings, and take that time to actually engage them in spiritual conversation, around the Word, and sometimes just branching out into spiritual conversation, just sort of naturally. So, in terms of frequency, it depended upon which stage of our family life we were in. And in terms of benefits, I definitely could speak of the benefit of that, looking at my own life. I didn't grow up in a Christian home. I didn't grow up having my parents sit down and teach me the Word of God when I was young. The only times I remember engaging in spiritual conversation and going through the Bible with my parents was not as a child, but as an adult, when my parents got saved when they were in their 60s and 70s. And so this is all new to me. But thank God I had my maternal grandmother who lived with us for a while, and what she actually was able to do, because her eyesight was bad, and I realized it was a trick she played, but she said her eyesight was bad. She said, come, read this for me. And she would have me read the Bible, for her, or she would have a hymn book, and she said, read this for me. And so what I didn't realize what she was doing, she was marking my life, spiritually, as I would, she was the only person who I opened the Bible with and read the Bible and read spiritual things with. And I look back at that now as a saved person, say, the Lord was using that, in my life. And so the benefits of family devotions really can be eternal, and that God can use that time in the Word to save, someone, as you read the Word and the gospel is there and present, and the Lord uses that in the life of someone, by His sovereign grace. So, what else? So there are some benefits for, of course, the person receiving the devotion and the instruction in the child. Also, for myself as a parent, I find that the most difficult questions that I've ever been asked about Christianity and about my faith have not come from other adults, but actually has come from my children. As they've asked me things like, well, if God knew uh, Adam and Eve were going to fall into sin, why did He create them? It's like, how do you answer that, or some variation of that question? And so it's been challenging, for me as well in my own faith. How do I answer these questions? Your children have these questions, but millions of other people have these questions as well. So in the course of ministry and in the course of evangelism, you need to be prepared, to answer, these types of questions. And so that's for the most part how family devotions is taking shape in our home now. It's a new season. Like I said, Kara is here. We do engage in spiritual conversation, and we do engage in devotion. My wife currently is overseas, and so when we're together, we do spend time in the Word, as well. But I'm just thankful for God for His faithfulness to our sometimes unfaithfulness in the Word, and that He has been preserving us, He's been keeping us, and the blessings that we receive through the time in the Word far exceeds the actual minutes or hours that we're actually spending. It's all by God's grace. And so that's pretty much it, and thank you. I hope this has been helpful.